Hello, and welcome to New Mexico Rising. My name is Mandy, and here on this show, every week, we interview some awesome people from around the country to bring you lifestyle tips, tricks, and more. And this week, we have this.
I won't tell anybody. Nobody actually watches the show, so anything... No NDAs here, my friend.
There are so many people that are in relationships where they're blinded by what's actually happening because they're in a very unhealthy cycle.
All that and more on New Mexico Rising.
Do you ever wonder what it really takes to turn your health around? This new series follows people facing life or death stakes as they fight for a second chance. Today, we're joined by Dr. Charles Proctor, renowned bariatric surgeon from 1,000-Pound Sisters and 1,000-Pound Best Friends, now featured in Dangerously Obese, sharing what these life-changing journeys look like up close. Welcome to the show, Dr. Proctor. How are you?
Good morning, Dan. Thanks for having me. I'm great.
Okay, for viewers meeting you through this series, how do you define dangerously obese, like medically speaking, and what kind of risks are your patients facing when they first come to you?
So these are patients who are overweight to the point where it affects not only their day-to-day lives, but their health in very dramatic ways. You're going to see patients who are immobile because of their weight or very minimally mobile. You'll see very young people who are on a terrible trajectory where they may not live to see even middle age. So when we say dangerously obese, that's truly what it is. And this is a danger not only from a physical standpoint, but from a stigma standpoint as well.
And the show follows patients for a year or maybe even more. What are the first milestones you look for before, during, and after bariatric surgery to know someone's truly on the right track?
That's a great question. And to your point, we need to look for these milestones before we ever get to the operating room. These are patients who have, for the most part, lived their lives in a body that is much, much too heavy, and they've actually built their lives around that. And getting over that mental hurdle of saying, okay, I'm going to make a transformation not only physically, but mentally and psychologically. I'm going to change the way I approach life and the way I do things. I'm going to set goals for that, and I'm going to trust this process as we go through it. I'm going to make sure that I do my part nutritionally and so forth to make sure that this is successful. That's what we want to see before we even talk about approaching the operating room.
And beyond the operating room, what support systems make the biggest difference, like nutrition, mental health, family buy-in? How does the series show that side of the work as well?
Well, to answer your question, all of the above, right? This is a multifactorial disease that requires a multidisciplinary approach. And especially with the patients of the size that you're going to see in this show, very often they have friends and family members who are codependent. And, the very first episode, you're going to see a mother and daughter who are, the mother is immobile, the daughter is very close to being immobile simply because of their weight. And they have family members who have to give up aspects of their lives to take care of these two every single day. So not only is this a psychological hurdle for both the patients to go through, but also these family members who have set up their lives around taking care of their loved ones.
And many people watching might be a little afraid to take that first step. What common myths about bariatric surgery do you want to clear up? And what does a realistic recovery even look like?
The biggest myths out there are that this is a dangerous surgery. Certainly there is no procedure out there that is 100% risk-free, right? But it is so much more dangerous to allow your body to go through carrying around this much body fat. It increases your chances of heart disease, increases your chances of getting things like diabetes, multiple cancers, and so forth. Having surgery is so much more safe, so much safer than not losing the weight. The other thing is, when I hear people say, well, this is the easy way out, it's anything but. I don't think you'll find any weight loss surgery patient out there to tell you that there's anything easy about this entire process. There's no easy day. Waking up every single day, it's a battle to fight even after the surgery because you're going through such a massive transformation in your body. And once you've achieved those goals, you have to maintain this healthy lifestyle, or else you're going to find yourself back to where you started from. So certainly not the easy way out, and I would like for people to understand that.
Dr. Proctor, I want to thank you for joining me this morning. You can catch out Dangerously Obese. It's available now on TLC. For clips and details, head to TLC.com and check out or look up Dangerously Obese. Dr. Proctor, I really want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. You have a great day.
Nearly half of adults in the United States have high blood pressure, and many don't even know it. The American Heart Association and the American College of Cardiology just released a new high blood pressure guideline offering important updates for everyone, especially women. Joining us today is Dr. Rachel M. Bond, an American Heart Association volunteer expert, to share what women need to know at every stage of life. Welcome to the show, Dr. Bond. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
The American Heart Association recently released a new high blood pressure guideline. What do people need to know about it?
Yeah, so the American Heart Association and the American College of Cardiology did release a new blood pressure guideline. Things that have not changed are how we define high blood pressure. First step is understanding what's normal blood pressure. So normal blood pressure is usually anything less than 120/80. Anything above that is elevated up until we get to the first stage of high blood pressure. Those are numbers above 130/80. And then the second stage, that's usually above 140/90. The higher our blood pressure is, the higher our risk of heart disease. And why this is so critical, it's unfortunate that when it comes to high blood pressure, a lot of times there are no warning signs. There's no signs and symptoms. It's very silent. So the only way for you to understand if you have elevated blood pressure or high blood pressure is to go to the doctor and get your blood pressure checked on a regular basis.
And let's talk about blood pressure and pregnancy. What should women know during that stage of life?
One thing that the guidelines wanted to highlight was that there are different stages in a woman's life that can actually impact their blood pressure and their overall cardiovascular health. One of those stages is during pregnancy. Pregnancy, for all intents and purposes, is a female's first stress test. With the hormonal changes, a lot of times that could negatively impact their blood pressure. And if you are a patient that during your pregnancy develops high blood pressure, you're at about a 2 to 4 times greater risk of having high blood pressure outside of the pregnancy and a 2 to 4 greater risk of having cardiovascular disease outside of the pregnancy. A lot of times that could occur up to several decades after the delivery. So having those conversations with your physician and healthcare professional about your pregnancy risks as well as your more traditional risk factors can really help in the management strategies.
And what actions can women take to help minimize their risks?
So there are several. The first one is being active. We know that the American Heart Association recommends at least 150 minutes per week of some form of moderate exercise. That could include walking at a very brisk pace. They also recommend eating very clean and healthy food, limiting saturated fat, processed foods, foods that are rich in salt or sodium, and replacing that with things like healthy fats such as olives and olive oil, and also whole grain. They also talk quite a bit about sleep. When we think about sleep, we need to ensure we're getting at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep per night. And the last thing that's so important is making sure that we're getting our numbers regularly checked. Blood pressure, cholesterol, our blood sugar, and we're also addressing with our physician what our weight is and if our weight is appropriate for our height.
So what are some simple steps anyone can start taking today to help better manage their blood pressure?
There are so many easy steps, many of which I had already listed, but I would say the easiest really is if we have an opportunity to get up and be active, let's do that. As I mentioned, that moderate exercise includes walking, so maybe using the stairs at work. If we're using public transportation, getting off at a stop a little earlier than where we normally do to encourage ourselves to get those steps in. And something also very simple is just making those minor adjustments to our nutrition as well as our overall lifestyle.
And Dr. Bond, where can our viewers go for more information?
So the American Heart Association has several websites. One of them is heart.org, and the other one is goredforwomen.org/high blood pressure. And that's really going to hone in on high blood pressure both during pregnancy and outside of pregnancy as it pertains to women's cardiovascular health.
I want to thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you so much.
You ever feel the phrase, fake it until you make it, and then take it a little too far? Hollywood hustler Glitz, Glam, Scam tracks about how a aspiring actor, Zach Horowitz, pulled off one of Hollywood's wildest frauds. And joining me today, our executive producer, director Rebecca Chaiklin, and Zach's ex-wife, Mallory Hagedorn. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
We're great. Thanks for having us.
All right, Rebecca, you got to give us a quick snapshot. What's the true story about Zach Horowitz and what kind of made this scam so audacious?
Zach was a super charismatic, handsome young man from the Midwest who moved to Hollywood with big dreams of becoming an actor and didn't necessarily have the talent to achieve that just through his acting skills. And so he started a entrepreneurial venture, which he pretended became super successful. He raised hundreds of millions of dollars. It was all a fake business. It was a Ponzi scheme. But he was able to take the money that he was raising to start buying himself roles in films. And he recruited his most inner circle of friends, a lot of whom were successful in the finance and banking world. And they had very good resumes and were able to go out and raise him hundreds of millions of dollars for this alleged business. And ironically, his one great performance was that he was a super successful entrepreneur. It was in real life, not on screen.
Okay, Mallory, you were there when this image and the lies were kind of beginning to be built. What were the early red flags that you kind of wish you trusted?
Yeah, I think that some things I wish I would have leaned into more is whenever I would ask questions, which I asked a lot of questions, and a lot of times there were answers, receipts, paperwork, but there were, sometimes if there were ever questions and I was meant to feel like stupid, Zach was very good at making you feel stupid by asking certain questions. I wish I would have had more of a backbone back then. But I really trusted this man. I was with him for almost 12 years. I started that relationship when I was 19. I grew into a life with him. It wasn't just overnight. It was, we are two college sweethearts going into a small apartment to a little bigger apartment, small home, like those kind of things gradually were happening as we were growing in both of our careers.
And the numbers are staggering. How did Zach convince smart investors to try to buy in, and what toll did this take on the victims once it was unraveling?
Well, the toll on the victims has been devastating. There were hundreds of families who lost their entire life savings. And he was able to raise, initially, he was able to raise a lot of this money because he had this very tight-knit group of friends, a lot of whom had gone to business school at Indiana University, then went on into the finance world. They had a lot of connections. They were aspirational. They were successful. And once he was able to recruit these people who all loved him and felt that he was super charismatic, they were a great calling card. They had the resumes, they had the connections, and they were able to raise him a lot of money. Zach was also incredibly clever. He always paid people back, and he paid people back on time. The money actually went into their accounts. He provided very, very sophisticated paperwork. He worked with the biggest banks in the country. He had one of the most prominent law firms representing him. So he had all the exterior infrastructure that made him look really legit.
And without spoiling too much or anything, what is a big takeaway that someone could take from this or walk away from this? Maybe from an outsider seeing the story from afar, or up close, Mallory, or from your perspective, what is something that someone at home to maybe protect themselves in the future?
Yeah, I think that a big takeaway from this is, one of the reasons I wanted to do this is to make a painful experience with something purposeful. There are so many people that are in relationships where they're blinded by what's actually happening because they're in a very unhealthy cycle of manipulation and lies. And I want those people to feel seen and know that they're not crazy. And it happens to so many people. And I just want them to feel that can be a community around it and that they're not alone.
Hey, I want to thank you too for joining me this morning. Hollywood Hustler, Glitz, Glam, Scam is available now on Prime Video. Check out the title on Prime Video and watch the series, or check out the trailer. Hey, I want to thank you too for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
Have you ever had one of those family cookouts where everyone's talking a little too loud and the cheese man's flying faster than carne asada hitting the grill? Well, comedian Frankie Quinones knows that feeling a little bit too well, and he's turning that into comedy gold with his brand new Hulu special, Damn, That's Crazy, directed by Emmy winner Ali Long. Frankie is here. Welcome to the show. You might know him from This Fool, What Do We Do in the Shadows, and Victor and Valentino. He's bringing the mix of heart, hilarity, and familia to the stage. Welcome to the show, Frankie. How are you, my friend?
Oh, good. Dan, thanks for having me, homie. I appreciate it.
No worries, man. All right, this is your first hour-long special. Okay, what made Damn That's Crazy the right moment to put your life and your comedy pretty much out there on the stage?
Yeah, man. Damn, that's crazy. We say that a lot growing up around around the homies and stuff. Damn, that's crazy. But yeah, just some of the topics I touch on. I met Ali Wong a long time ago, and she obviously her career took off, multiple Emmys and stuff like that. And then we were doing some tour dates together, and she goes, "Hey, I want to produce and direct your special." And I was like, "I'd be honored." And then the timing just kind of worked out perfectly with Hulu launching this slate of comedy specials. And then we got into talks, and then, here we are. We took over a year to get the material down. And then, we recorded the special with the help of Ali Wong. We pieced together a pretty cool piece of work that I'm really proud of. So I'm excited for people to see it. So that's what's up. And damn, that's crazy.
And this special, it dives into love, addiction, and the politics of family carne asada. How much does that come straight from your own family gatherings, my friend?
Oh, yeah. I draw a lot from family. But yeah, we've been through a lot together, ups and downs. And, I kind of touch on all that. I get vulnerable about a lot of stuff. And also, a lot of people can relate to any family event. In my case, it's the carne asada, which is like our barbecue, and the drama that comes with that. The tias, the aunties talking smack about each other, spreading rumors like, "Oh, your tia Rosa's potato salad doesn't have any flavor. I think she's going through something, and it's like, no, she's not. The potato salad is fine, but they always try to just stir something up. That's just an example. It's just like the drama that ensues at a family barbecue or carne asada.
Oh, yeah, I have the same aunt. I have the same stories. I grew up the same way, my friends. You played some unforgettable characters from Luis and This Fool to your sketches in Get Frankie. How do you decide what parts of like real life make it into your comedy?
Yeah, I mean, nothing's off limits to me, especially when it comes to family stuff or stuff like that, because it's something that a lot of people can relate to no matter what background you're from. But yeah, I would say, the characters that I do or the voices I do or stories I do come directly from my environment or people around me or how I grew up and stuff like that. So yeah, my character Creeper, who does Cholo Fit, that came straight from my dad. He was in a lowrider car club, all that good stuff. So yeah, that's just an example of just boom. I just draw from right what's right next to me, and nothing's off limits. And my family has learned to be okay with that.
And Ali Wong directed this special. What was it like collaborating with her and bringing that energy to the stage?
Yeah, you know what? It was really was an honor, because obviously I've known her. We met in a laundromat / cafe where they do an open mic, because there's like a built-in audience, people waiting for their laundry. But it was so cool to see her career just take off. And then when we started working on it, I didn't know how hands-on she was going to be, and she was really hands-on. She was a huge help. She has such a great eye for things, because people are like, well, what does it mean to direct a comedy special? Yeah, most of it is just the camera setups, but it's what goes on behind the scenes before and after the taping. And she was really hands-on to help me in the editing, and then picking what frames go on what punchline, down to the details like that. And I think it really helped in the end create this super polished piece of work that is now called Damn That's Crazy. Yeah, so yeah, it was fun, man. It's really fun to work with her and watch her work and see her talents in that avenue of being a producer. Yeah, it was cool.
And you've been doing a little bit of everything, acting, stand-up, voice work. After the special, what's next for you? Any new projects you could tease and let our audience know? I won't tell anybody. Nobody actually watches the show, so anything. No NDAs here, my friend.
No, you're all good, man. Yeah, I'm on the next the season coming up of St. Denis Medical. It premieres in November, and then I got a YouTube show called Creeper's Crib, live from my grandpa's garage. That's the first episode just came out of that, and then I got a movie coming out next year with Tom Segura, Luke Wilson, Tim Baltz, Genesis Rodriguez, called El Tigre. So be on the lookout for that, and hopefully I'll be on tour in your city soon. And hope to see you there. Let's kick it.
Of course, I'll be there. You can catch Frankie Quinones. Damn, that's crazy. It's now streaming on Hulu. For more on Frankie's comedy projects or tour dates, visit frankiequinones.com or shop his Cholo Fit collection. It's available on his website, my friend. Orale! Frankie, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Dad. Appreciate it.
They're mean, they're messy, and they're absolutely unforgettable. And now, Roald Dahl's classic villains are back with a brand new twist. The Twits. It's the hilarious animated musical on Netflix where two terrible adults try to take over their town until a group of clever kids and magical animals fight back. So joining us are Margot Martindale, who voices Mrs. Twit, and Maitri Ramakrishnan, the voice of Bisha, one of the young heroes standing up to all of this chaos. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Oh, great.
Good.
Thank you.
Doing great.
Okay, Roald Dahl, his stories, they're always filled with like dark humor, but yeah, a lot of hearts. What was it like stepping into his world for the Twits?
It was a joyride, really.
Truly, a true joyride in the land of the Twitlandia amusement park. Very dark humor and obviously, like you said, emotional themes, but also a really nasty, grimy, gross and smelly backdrop for the Twits.
And Margot, Ms. Twit.
Yeah.
She's such
What
a
about
wonderfully
it?
awful
What about
character.
her?
How did you find your take on her personality and her voice and all of that?
Just follow the leader, if you know what I mean. Phil Johnson really, he was the guide for all of us, and he's a unbelievably creative, fun-loving, crazy, wonderful man. And it was like there was no limit to what we could do. You know, to blow the top off, basically.
And Maitri, your character Bisha brings so much heart to the story. What did you love most about playing her?
I think truly the thing that I loved most was that she is so kind and is so good. And even her, she still can succumb and slip to being a little awful, just like a Twit. And the character arc that she has is so beautiful and is so just honest and real in a world that feels very absurd. So that juxtaposition is very appealing to me.
In the movie, it mixes some humor, some music, and a great message about teamwork. What do you hope families take away after watching this?
I just hope they take away the joy that we felt doing it, that we had doing it, and also the beauty of the animation is extraordinary, I think. And you hope maybe some people will be nicer to each other.
Yeah, a little kindness, a little kindness.
Little
Take away a
kindness
laugh and
goes a
cry.
long way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And both of you have such diverse careers. What made the Twits stand out as something that you just definitely wanted to be part of?
Phil Johnson.
Yeah, Phil. And also Margot.
Oh.
She's sick. Come on, she's cool.
Come on.
Icon. She's an icon. Are you kidding me? Come on now.
You're crazy.
Come on now. Phil and Margot.
Oh, wow. Well, that's nice.
See, you got a little bit of love there. The Twits is now streaming on Netflix. It's the perfect pick for a family movie night full of laughs, songs, and maybe a little mischief. You can check it out now at netflix.com/thetwits. Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you ever wonder what happens after a billionaire just decides, I'm going to give it all away? You know, the office is left to clean up the chaos. Apple TV Plus's Loot is back with its third season, and this time, the Wells Foundation crew is facing fresh drama, bigger laughs, and a few emotional twists along the way. So joining us are Michaela J. Rodriguez, who plays Sophia, and Joel Kim Booster, who plays Nicholas. You know, two fan favorites who help keep this hilarious workplace running, well, most of the time. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Pretty good. Can't complain.
All right, now that season 3 is out, fans finally got to see what happens after the jet-setting cliffhanger. How would you describe the vibe of this season and how the Wells Foundation has evolved since last time?
You know what? I think jet setting is sort of the vibe for the entire season. We go a lot of different places this year, and it's going to be really fun. We get out of the office a lot more this season than I think we have have in seasons past, which is really exciting for all of us. And it's putting all of the characters in situations that I think are testing them and forcing them to grow a little bit. And they're all experiencing a lot of change, I think, this season.
Sophia is usually the calm and collected one. So without giving too much away, what new challenges really test her this season, either at work or personally?
Well, I think there's a whirlwind of an individual that just comes and knocks her off her feet, and she doesn't know how to deal with that, being that it's so close to home. And she has to navigate that while still managing the foundation. So I think that's a great way to get things started, which is shake her up a bit and make her bust at the seams a little bit, because I think a lot of us are tired of seeing Sophia so straight-laced, So, I think that's one thing. And also our stories in general, how we're paired up and seeing each and every last one of us just, play off of each other.
And Nicholas has become Molly's right hand and also become a fan favorite. What's his big glow up or I guess an moment we should be watching out for?
You know what? I think that, I can't go into too much detail, but I think you get a sense of what Nicholas's sort of goals are beyond the Wells Foundation this year. Yeah. We've planted the seeds, I think, in seasons 1 and 2, and you really see it come to fruition in a big way in season 3, which is really exciting. And you get a lot of a deeper sense of his relationship with Molly and how that started and where it's going too.
And the Molly Arthur, will they, won't they, it gets a lot of attention. How does that thread shape the team's dynamic this season?
I've always seen it as, from the beginning of season 1 until now, I've always seen Molly as the mother hen and, Nat's character as the budding father who comes in. Then after that is Joel's character, my character, and Stephanie's character as the children, if you will, and the ones. So I kind of always seen it like that. I mean, what about you, Joel?
Yeah, I think it's interesting this season because it's always fun in games to watch the will they, won't they happen, but it's always interesting to see what eventually what the actual doing of the relationship will look like in practicality and in reality. And it's a whole new set of hurdles for them to get over now that they are a little bit closer. So it's definitely going to be a lot of fun to watch that play out.
And for new viewers that are jumping into season 3, what's the perfect, I guess, on-ramp episode or a quick catch-up beat that they should be knowing before they hit play?
Oh man. You know what? My personal favorite, this is maybe not the best entryway point for a new watcher, but if you want to get a sense of the comedy of the show and you want to get a sense of all of our characters, I do think the fashion show episode from season 2 is a great way to introduce people to this. And then they can circle back and catch up. But in terms of how big our show goes, how silly our show goes, and how much heart our show has, you really get a sense of that in season 2 in that fashion show episode. And you get to see Maya Rudolph in, the height of doing what Maya Rudolph does.
Yes.
So yeah, check that out for sure.
Or you could just give out all your money and have your friends help you on that.
Yeah,
that's true too.
Season 3 of Loot is now streaming on Apple TV Plus, with the first 2 episodes out, with new ones dropping weekly through December 10th. Go check it out and let us know your favorite Sophia or Nicholas moment after you binge. Hey, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in and checking out New Mexico Rising. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at New Mexico Rising. That was our show, New Mexico Rising. You take care, and we'll see you next week.